Relax and get loose while I put you up on game. The Figure Booth with Josh and Nate. This that podcast folk. Those in the know. Batman vs. Iron Man. How would it go? We talking one of a kind. Collectibles. Mezco toys are respectable. It's unacceptable if it's not in the packaging. Nate don't take pics if you ain't rapping it. Nate's dirty tricks are always happening. But damn it, man, don't you be stressing. Round here we believe in plastic confessions. We trying to figure out the figures that's gonna stand the test of time. That G.I. Joe handmade hit me in the spine. There's perfection in the way that these toys are made. But I also wanna know, do I pick Wade or Slade? So this is where I come to kick it with the guys. The Figure Booth. Like, comment, and subscribe.
Hello, Toy Fam, and welcome to the Figure Booth podcast show, here where we talk about the ups and downs of being a modern-day collector. We go over weekly pre-orders. We share our weekly hauls, which we call Plastic Confessions. At the same time, let's give it up for me. I'm the host. My name is Josh, aka Prime to the First, and usually I am joined by my co-host. But as you guys can see, and you guys may be aware, he's currently out visiting, enjoying his vacation and his birthday with the missus. So happy birthday to Mrs. and Mr. Figure Fan Nate Nards, Prime Privates, however you want to describe yourself. So in today's episode, it's just going to be me, possibly. I got the whole keys to the house, to the car. Let's see where we take this crazy ride. This episode is episode 63, which I'm calling The Whip, Work in Progress. And we're going to see where this goes. So if you guys are liking this content, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you drop a comment. And as always, spread the word. We need your help to get us to at least 1,000 subscribers. And that's the goal for this year. So help the Figure Booth Nation grow. You never know what could happen when we get there. And oh, someone is at the door. Let's see who paid us a visit, because as you guys know, we do kind of, we're doing things a little differently. And wait, what? No. Hey, dude, come on, watch out. Quit. No. Oh, there goes another DTOF. Another DTOF. You guys already know. Let's give it up for 796, Mr. Cha-Cha himself.
I'm really sorry about that, Prime. I hope
man, that's my second DTOF, man. Second DTOF. Now I'm down to one.
I knocked down 2 on the way in, so you're down to 0, my friend. There it goes.
Yeah, and it took me a long time to pick up that glass.
Yeah, what, 4 weeks?
Yeah, that was a lot of glass. Man, welcome back to the Figure Booth. It's awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having me back, dude. It's been quite some time. I think almost a year now.
I think you're right.
Yeah. So, and it's dude, it's been great to see this podcast grow to what it is now. So thanks for kind of inviting me back. I know I just barged through the door, but dude, I am happy to be here.
Hey, I'm excited. So like I said, guys, this episode is called The Work in Progress. And really what got me to thinking about one is getting this guy on here so we can just hash it out and settle the beef, have a discussion. But one thing you always do, like, I know I'm a fan. I think a lot of us out there that follow you, we're fans of the BTS or your constant work in progress, right? But it reminds me of, I was listening to a different podcast that has nothing to do with toy community. But the host said, what gets measured gets improved. And to me, I'm like, hey, as a hobby, like, do we take the time to look at where we started and where we're at, and then looking in the future of where we want to go? Because for, I think most of us, it started out just as something to do on the side as fun or as a distraction or just to kill time. And you hear those stories that they all start out very similar. Hey, I was just uploading pictures on Instagram, or like Nate says, it was my dirty little secret. Or like for me, like I started out trying to get rid of my collection, and I think my collection is bigger than ever. But what do you think? Like, what gets measured gets improved?
Yeah, no, and when you had told me what the topic was going to be, I'm like, oh yeah, for sure. Because I feel like it doesn't even, my mind immediately went to like dioramas and like the works that I've been putting up. But even as artists, I think we're all works in progress. I remember when I first started, it was just an outlet, right? And then, you know, as you look at your work and get the next idea, you're constantly thinking about ways to improve your craft, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I still consider myself right now to be a work in progress. I recognize that there has been growth since I started in
Yeah.
2018, beginning of
Yeah.
2018. But I'm constantly pushing just to see, you know, how crazy these dials can be, or how much better my photography can be. And you had mentioned like measuring your growth or your progress, right? And
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. I mean, if you're not tracking your improvements along the way, like how can you really grow, right? So
Yeah.
I think one of the things that at least that I do is I always look at my old pieces of work, right?
Yeah.
And compare it to like what I'm currently doing. And you know, for the most part, they all I think recently though, I've found like my certain style of
Mm-hmm.
diorama. And I know in the beginning I was just kind of all over the place, but
Yeah.
yeah, I was looking at because I recently just went on Vero and I'm posting up my old dioramas.
Uh-huh.
Like, man, this stuff was pretty good.
Yeah.
I think I can improve
Yeah.
on like some of the cuts or even just the greeble that I'm adding.
Uh-huh.
Uh, but yeah, it's always good to have that pulse check and to go back and look at your old work. Dude, sometimes I'll even go back and look at my old pictures.
Yeah.
I forgot who it was. I think it was Public Enema that
Oh
had
yeah.
posted a
You
hashtag.
did.
Did you see that last week?
Yeah. How
It's
else how you started?
hashtag started from the bottom.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and
started
he's
from the
like,
bottom. Yeah.
share like some of your first photos. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So I looked and I'm like, geez, I was trash, right?
It was just a flash, whoosh, and
Yeah,
then like you see like a Ninja Scroll hand or something.
yeah. But but you know, it was fun. It was still
Yeah.
fun back then. It's still fun now. But it was cool not only to see my old pieces of work, but other
Yeah.
artists in the community who are you know just crushing it now, and to
Yeah.
see where they came from. And you could just even if you compare like that first pick to like some of their current stuff, you can
Yeah.
see the progression or the
Yeah.
growth. So
Yeah.
again, check your old work, man. Just go back and reminisce about old photos and stuff you did.
No, and that's great because I think sometimes we get in a rut or we feel like we haven't made progress or we're stuck in mud. But it's a good motivator to go look at some of that stuff and you're like, oh wait, I have grown.
Mhm.
I have developed some skills. You know,
Yeah.
it's looking at some of those old pictures and like I remember there's one picture where I took in my mind it was like a collage group picture where the perspective was like, oh, it's Storm taking a picture with the rest of the X-Men. It's like she's taking a selfie with team. It's a horrible picture, and it's just like I think I just put all the figures in front of my phone and then just hit the flash, and it's just like flash and then just some figures. It's like a 4-year-old took it, and that's disrespectful to the 4-year-olds out there. But now I'm like, in my mind, I saw like it was like a comic book cover, or I don't know what I must have been seeing.
Right.
You know, it's crazy, and you think that there's at that point when I took it, I was like, yeah, this is cool. This is like I'm doing a perspective thing, and now I probably would approach it 180 degrees totally differently. But yeah, I love seeing those pictures from where I was at, where I'm at now.
Yeah, because like in the beginning, like when you, again, if you're starting off and you're not really exposed to like other artists or other photos, like you think, okay, this is great because it's the image that you had in your head. And then, you know, you look back at it like a year or so later, you're like, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
It's nothing like how I managed. And then you can redo it. Like last year, one of the first shots that was ever published on the ACBA IG page, and it was, you know, one of the greatest feelings. I'm like, oh my God, they liked it and published it.
You got
I
recognized.
actually went back last year and I redid that shot, like just implementing like the new techniques and everything that I've learned along the years. And dude, that was a fun little project. And I think I might.
And then someone called you out. They're like, hey, why are you copying this guy's shot?
Yeah. Wait, 796 is copying 796.
What?
Get out of here.
Block him. He's gonna block himself. No, and you know, a good thing you said is like that you consider yourself a work in progress, right? And I think most of us we should keep that open mindset. And you know, it reminds me of a saying like our mind only works like a parachute. It has to be open in order to like for you to be able to catch everything, feedback, constructive criticism, or even those that are envious. You know, there's I think there's a huge difference between being influenced by someone's work and making it your own, and then literally like copying it and imitating it. So there's some that I think we fall into that bucket where we're like, nope, I've learned everything I can and I'm good. Like I don't. That's I think that's where we start to get into ruts, when we stop challenging ourselves or we stop considering ourselves a work in progress.
Yeah. I mean, at least for me, it's like I'm always trying to figure out what else I can do. I mean, you know me, I usually hate everything I
you
make
do.
or post. I might be a little too harsh on myself, but and I think one of the other toughest parts is finding that motivation to keep pushing yourself and being consistent with the hobby or the craft. But you had mentioned, there is a fine line between imitating somebody and being influenced. And I think when you're first starting off, and I forgot where I heard this from. I've been recently looking into like drawing tutorials. I think those type of artists are they're geniuses, man. I wish I knew how to draw, right?
Yeah.
And Chamba had said, oh, it's not like a natural born talent. You can learn how to draw, right?
Yeah.
So I was watching this one YouTube tutorial, and it's like, if you're starting off in the beginning, it's fine to, gravitate towards an artist that you like and, try to imitate some things in the very beginning until you get, the foundation.
Right.
I know when I first started off building dios, Lawless Studios, even to this day, he's still like a huge inspiration. And, I think he's known for his trees and his terrain. And I straight up just told him, I'm like, hey, man, I'm going to try your techniques and I'm going to try and imitate, know. But slowly that evolved into your own style. It goes from, imitating, now being influenced by his art. And there's a few other artists that have influenced me too. Lately, I've been looking at a lot of digital artists, which is, spawned from going down the rabbit hole of looking at drawings. Guways on IG does some crazy artwork, like digital drawings. And I think my latest shot was influenced by him. I took a picture of like one of his drawings. And I'm like, I need to recreate this, but with Rude Boy instead of, this other subject. So I built a diorama based around that and took a shot, and it was great. It wasn't straight up replicating, his picture, but definitely influenced by, the lighting, the buildings, and then the composition. And I thought that was great. So I mean, I think it's totally fine in the beginning to imitate because you're still learning. But eventually, if you remain consistent with that craft, you'll eventually find your own style.
Oh, for sure. And I think that's a great point to really shed light on, is it's okay to be influenced and imitate those that you aspire to be, but then really look, and again, taking a look within yourself and being like, okay, how can I add my signature to it? How can I make it my thing? Where now I start to create my own wave or my own path in it, because the space, there's abundance out there. There's enough space for everyone to be creative and not necessarily approach it from a cookie cutter type of approach where, I'm going to make some Rude Boys too. And just maybe instead of neon colors, I'm going to paint them a different, that's a little too obvious,
Yeah. And I will say this, just to remain respectful within the community, if you are imitating somebody, give them a shout out. If you are influenced by somebody, shout them out, tag them up on your photo or your work. That goes a long way. I think Nate had explained that on like one of the couple most recent episodes. And if chances are they'll see it, they'll be flattered that, hey, this person drew inspiration from me, and they might repost it. So definitely, if people are inspiring you, tag them into your work.
That's huge. And I think another point you brought up that really I wanted to dive deeper is that building that consistency. I think that's really challenging with everything going on. So with, we got pre-orders, we got new figures, and you see it across all the other different podcasts, everywhere from Toy Migos to the Butter Baron. Like everyone is talking about like all these drops, right? And it's not even Christmas. Like we're still, we're in the beginning of September.
August,
no, man, we're in the beginning of September, and I'm already seeing Christmas stuff out. So it's like you got to get that Christmas list happening, because the pre-orders it's gonna be a bloodbath. Like it's gonna be crazy. My kids, they're probably just gonna watch Dad open up all his pre-orders and whatever I picked up.
They can live vicariously through you, man.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, I wanted GI Joes when I was your age, so you get to enjoy GI Joes. They're like, what's GI Joe? Oh my god. So, like, how do we stay consistent? I think a lot of times, like, I remember again trying to relate to that first time collector, and this is why we bring it up. And if you guys are listening to us or watching it, you enjoy the content that we're giving you guys, you find value in this, make sure you give us a thumbs up. But what I'm trying to get to is like that first time collector, they want to do everything. They want to be an artist, they want to be a diorama creator, they want to be featured on a page, but they also want to keep up with 796. They want to keep up with all those collectors that have been doing it for a while. They want to have the big hauls too. I want to take a picture of like my BBTS stuff that came in, even though it's only one legend. So like how did you struggle with being consistent, of not falling into those traps of keeping up with everybody?
Dude, I think consistency is one of like the hardest disciplines to master, right? Especially for somebody like me who's maybe a short attention span, a little scatterbrained. I like that.
Yeah.
It's no surprise. Come on, man.
Yeah.
But no, I even like you had mentioned, there's a ton of distractions out there, right? And it really comes down to focus and understanding like what your path is and where you want to go. There are a lot of people out there that dabble in multiple things. I happen to be one of them, and it's one of my struggles daily. Like for a while I'll be on a kick of like building dios, then I'll jump off and do like customs or photography, right? But every time I jump off of one interest, it feels like I have to start fresh from another one, right? And I kind of envy those people that are just straight up photographers or dio builders, or even people like collecting and have a focus in collecting, like Fabio only collects Mezco. And I envy that, because then you're not bogged down or distracted by like, I don't know, NECA stuff or the legends and stuff like that. So I don't know, man, consistency has been something that I have not mastered at all. And I feel like if I were to be consistent in, let's just say dios, I can't even imagine like how much better I'd be like with some of these builds, how much quicker I could be, you know what I mean? There's just too many distractions out there.
It's funny that you say that, because from an outsider looking in, I think you do have consistency, that you're consistently like everywhere. Like you're consistently you're dial making, and like you take its path until you feel like, I'm done with this. And it's always something, right? So I think there's something on the kitchen table for you to make. There's always something cooking. So I think that in itself is consistency. Like you're always pushing that envelope. Where I think some collectors find themselves is, yes, they're consistently just collecting or hunting, but then they get boggled down because they're not changing it up, or because they're not challenging themselves, or they're not looking at, okay, if I'm consistently just doing the hunt, am I getting the satisfaction from my collection? And maybe the question is, you are. Like that gives you. And I remember there was a time where I don't think I was posting as much, especially when I first started my IG, and I was just consistently hunting. Like I just wanted to get it all. I was collecting everything from Hot Wheels to like legends. Like I even had a couple of random wrestling figures, So
man,
it gets a little crazy.
It does. And I think you become obviously if you're consistently doing something, that's who you become. Like for a while I was just on this kick of just doing photos, and I'm like, oh, I'm becoming a toy photographer now and less of a dio maker, right? But I don't know, man. It really comes down to focus and knowing exactly what you want to do. Not to say that you can't be this person that dabbles in everything, right? It's just, very at least for me, it's a struggle to like when I jump back into like painting, it's like, oh my God, I feel like I've lost,
that's true.
Like years of experience, and I have to like relearn how to do this stuff, But you're right. I mean, I am at least consistently doing something, building or being creative.
Mike, you remember you would remind me of that kid that you play the RPGs and he picked the wizard, but then he's like, oh, I want to be a warrior now. I'm like, dude, we're halfway through the game. No, stick to the wizard. You don't be picking up my stones. Like now you're changing the path of the game. Like You're that guy. You're like, who wants to be the warlock? I don't want to be the warlock anymore.
Yeah, man. It's really annoying. And I,
don't play 4-player games with Mario. That's what I'm taking away from this.
I'll
I'm like, no, you pick Mikey. You stay with Mikey. You can't be Raph now.
No, yeah, I was playing. I think I was playing Turtles with Mike, and like halfway through, I'm like, I'm done with Mikey. I want to be Leo now. So, which was the wrong move.
Yeah, he's always the wrong move.
Yeah, man. But no, yeah, it's a constant struggle. But at least I'm, always shaking and moving. Like this latest Dio build, I'm almost done with it, and I'm like, I think I'm done. I'm done right now. I'm sick of seeing it, so I'm gonna move on to something else, and then it's just gonna sit here for like, I don't know, maybe a month or two. So,
and that's the another challenge in itself is discovering either new tips, new challenges, new dials. Like you said, you got inspired by some artist, and you wanted to copy them, but in a bring it out in a diorama model.
Yeah.
Are you constantly like what advice for collectors out there? How do we constantly look for challenges, or how do we challenge ourselves?
Yeah, well, I mean, I can only speak to myself. Like the challenges are essentially motivators for me, right? Like if I see, so for example, I just got into, oh my God, the Joy Toy Warhammer stuff, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I know. Is right. I have like 17 figures in my cart. Yep, there you go. I haven't pulled the trigger yet, but they're so good.
Figures. Yeah, they are.
But it led to a rabbit hole, and now I'm looking at Warhammer videos on YouTube, like trying to figure out the lore. Now I'm looking at the Warhammer like kits, the actual like tabletop kits, and I'm thinking. I was just telling Mike the other day, I'm like, I think I might want to pick up one of these kits and like start painting some miniatures and do like a miniature diorama. And it's very intimidating because those things are tiny, right? And I know I don't have those skills yet, but I view it as a challenge, and I'm like, okay, I think I want to get into that. And I mean, you could even like think of a new challenge of like in terms of collecting, like maybe you're used to collecting legends. And Yamaguchi has always been intimidating because of the cuts and the articulation. But if it interests you, pick one up, see how you like it. That would be my advice. Gravitate towards what catches your eye. I mean, I remember when I first grabbed the Yamaguchi, I'm like, no way, I don't know how to pose this. But the more you handle it, the more familiar you become, and then you're essentially a pro at handling, a more complex figure. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Yeah, and I think just looking at it like the risk over rewards. It's also jumping into new line or jumping or tackling a new skill. It's going to be kind of risky, but if you stick with it, whether it's a new line or tackling a different diorama, like when it was so crazy because like when I look back and I was really starting to crave and really get to like toy photography, and I was messing with lights, and I got my DSLR, and I was doing all this stuff. I started messing and making my own dials, but then the dial stuff took off more than the photography, where then I had friends requesting dials, and that really pushed me into like this unknown territory where I had to figure stuff out and risk and rewards, but then at the same time know when to cut my losses, whether it was a win, but then I wasn't necessarily getting joy out of it. So I had to cut my loss because I was getting so many requests for dials that one, I couldn't keep up and I was burning myself out. But then two, I felt like my quality was starting to drop, where I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna back away, take a step back, because one, I'm not finding joy in this. Two, I don't feel like I'm being challenged anymore. And I was doing the same type of dial for the same individuals. And, even though they were like patient and they were like, oh no, go ahead, take your time. I hated that. I hated like having, and you know what it feels like having that project just sit there months. And I'm like, my motivation is gone.
It's nagging.
And I don't even want to finish this now, So it's like, it came to the point where like, you know what, here, refunds, and I'm done. And I'm going to do something else. Like I want to go back into hunting or collecting and stuff like that. So it's, even though it was good, I think other individuals that a lot of us start as collectors and we find what we think is that well, we just hit gold. We just struck gold, and now I got a lot of eyes on me. I need to follow this through. But if it's not bringing you a good quality of life, I always look at it like you want to choose quality of life versus anything else. Like you have to have that good medium.
It's supposed to be fun, you know.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be fun and an outlet, you know, a creative outlet, or just a place to escape, you know, the bullshit that you deal with in real life. But you brought up a couple of good points, like the risk versus reward thing.
Yeah.
You know, you got to risk it for the biscuit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's a way to improve, but like, you know, is it worth the reward? Like, I remember, you know, even there was a brief moment in time where I did take commissions, and I offered up my work, right? And that's a huge risk, because, you know, one, you gotta, you're engaging in business with somebody, you know, you're exchanging dial for money, and that can get a little dicey. But then you also put yourself at risk for, like, well, what if they hate my work? You know, they're going to criticize the shit out of your work, you know, especially if they're paying for it, right? And is it worth that reward for, I don't know, whatever couple bucks you're going to get, you know? And then it becomes less fun. So I weighed those options, and I'm like, you know what? I don't want to risk my enjoyment, you know, for a couple bucks. I like building for fun, building for me. And I'm like, you know, it's not worth, you know, the risk isn't worth the reward at that point. Right. Also in terms of, like, so I have this dial right here that I'm building. I'm about to prime it with some new material that I'm going to try out. And then I'm going to try out oil washes. Right. And I've spent like maybe like 3 weeks on that. And I mean, it's risky, you know. Because I could just completely ruin that. But, you know, for me, that'd be worth it. I can always rebuild that, you know. And if it comes out even better than what I was doing before, hell yeah, I'm gonna take it.
And a lot of I think in a lot of times because certain of us, like for yourself, you've been doing this all, you're like, okay, the risk is there, but in the back of my mind, you know, it's gonna kind of like, this is gonna work out. And at the end of the day, I'm gonna make it work out. Like, same thing with when I get certain requests for certain arcades or even certain props. I'm like, okay, I haven't done this one before, especially with arcades. And I'm like, but I'll figure it out. And I'm sure it may be sloppy or messy or may not work out the first time, but a lot of times it does. Like 9.9% out of 10, it ends up being a good result. And it's funny how sometimes I think I've seen you where you're like, hopefully I don't ruin it, and then you show that. And then I'll always respond, you ruined it.
No, the last build that I did.
Who cares?
The last build, I did this technique where I painted the base black, and then I did an undercoating, right? And I was thinking in my head, I'm like, I think this will work, because if I lay like a thin top coat, then it'll show the variations in color underneath. And I remember it specifically because you were talking trash like you normally do, because I posted the final product, and I was like, to be honest with you, I was 50% sure that this was going to work. And you were like, I had zero confidence. But dude, and that's the thing. Like, even though it would suck to ruin a project that I've spent weeks on, like, I know I could make it again if I had to. So at that point, it was a no-brainer. It's like, I'm going to try this new technique, and you know, if anything, I lose a couple weeks and I'll just rebuild it, and I'll learn from those mistakes, you know, that I've made. Which is another you know, good point to bring up, man. Those mistakes and failures are the best teacher, and that's how you can improve your craft, or just become better as a person, really.
No, I was just going to bring that up because I remember when you made that cyber dial for Mike, and you did the curves, and you're like, dude, that was something new that I tackled, and and you're like, you were pumped. You're like, I'm ready to tackle another one, but then that never happened. No,
what are you talking about? It's happening now.
No,
just a year later.
You know what? I should have brought my custom Iron Man paint job that you did for me. That's what I should have brought.
Hey, it's like a factory finish, right?
You guys can't even tell a difference. I'm gonna save it for the live, and I'm gonna show you guys this modular Iron Man that this guy did. He did such an amazing job. To the naked eye, you would think nothing happened, and it was straight production from Hasbro.
That's how subtle. That's how good my work is. It's so subtle you can't even tell anything.
You're gonna think like, oh, he didn't even touch it. Well,
you You know what reminds me? I still got to get Cheney's out to him. It's pretty. I'm sorry, Cheney.
It's drying. It's drying. There's
Yeah,
thin layers. The layers are so thin that he has to just like he uses a feather, a swan's feather, to lay down the paint.
Oh yeah.
What's like the most? What's like the most rarest bird out there? Whatever the most rarest bird, Mario over here takes one of its feathers. There should be like 2 out of its kind. Dude, like you're using a bird that's like almost about to go extinction. So that's why
use bald eagle feathers to paint.
Are they that rare? Are they like super
bald eagle? Well, they're endangered species.
Well, I know they're endangered, but I want a bird like there's only like one left.
Dude, I don't even use feathers. Now I use panda fur to paint my picture, okay?
Okay, well, we're using panda. Nate's using Sharpie to do eyes. Mario's using endangered species to paint figures. So you know how we do it here.
This video is getting flagged so hard.
Yeah, they're like these guys. But no, and that's really what we wanted to have a discussion about, like making sure you guys kind of take a seat back in your own progress and your own development. Where's your collection going? And sometimes it's crazy to see that there is such a huge spotlight, and at the same time it's very under the radar. But it's crazy to see that so many collectors end up making the hobby like a main thing. Like they turn this hobby from an appetizer to like a main dish, where it's like it turns into your 9 to 5. It becomes something mainstream for you. And to me, I think that's an amazing opportunity.
Yeah. And you know what though? The second it stops being fun, it's time to cut your losses and just at least take a break until it's fun again. I've taken a break from this hobby for like a year, and then jump back in when I thought it was appropriate and felt like the passion again. So again, the second it becomes a chore, boom,
call Mario. He'll show up and he'll break your detox. So if it's not fun, you're like, Mario, come over to my house. And he's breaking detox. Right now I have like 2 boxes full of figures of like, I don't even know what to do with them now because this guy broke my detox.
You know what? I'm sorry, man. I'll we'll go through
build me a detox out of foam. Like, just build
foam. Actually, that's not a bad idea.
Hey, we're gonna build shelves out of foam. Coming straight to you guys.
I'm surprised I haven't bashed this thing. It's just still right now. Boom.
Well, that was our topic for today, and now you guys all know it's time to get into some pre-orders.
Oh baby,
let's do it. How have pre-orders been treating you?
Well, I don't think I've been pre-ordering much. There's a couple like unexpected drops. I think we're gonna pull one up soon.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, I gotta get it. But what's been killing me is the delays, and then all of a sudden a lot of pre-orders converting. Like this past month, and I know we'll get into it later, so much stuff has converted. But I think for right now I've been slowing down. Oh yeah, until I see something like this.
Yeah, so let's get into Devil Toys.
I think this was just announced maybe a few days ago. Yeah, and it went up immediately for pre-order.
So the pre-orders for the deluxe set, right? The carbine.
Yeah. These were that 112 carbine and DX3 deluxe set comes with a bike and 2 figures. Now I remember when these first dropped in 1/6 form, it was 2018, and I wasn't into 1/6 at that time, but I'm like, I need these in 112. So I tried to customize. I tried to commission somebody to make these soft goods, and for whatever reason, it didn't play out. So now to see these in 112 form, for that idea to finally play out, 4 or 5 years later, it was a no-brainer. It was like 8 a.m. when I saw this post, and I'm like, oh yeah, $300.
It's a must. Yeah, it's $300. You get 2. No, I have zero experience with Devil Toys. So as a newbie, tell me.
Yeah.
Like, so, what should I be expecting? Should I get this? Should I not get this?
Well, I would say if you like the aesthetic, if you like the look,
Yeah.
and you know me, I'm all about the cyberpunk look, and this
Yeah.
is heavily influenced by cyberpunk. Yeah, it's a no-brainer. I mean, they were, I think Devil's Toys was primarily like a designer toy company, kind of like 3A Ashley Wood
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
So
It gives me the
they,
3A feeling.
yeah, for sure, it's got 3A vibes. They you know, they started off 1.6 for a while now, and now they're dabbling into 112. I think last year it was a Tech 63. It came
Yeah.
with one figure, the bike, and a dog. I got that in last year, and you know, it's a decent figure. It looks great. The articulation and that buck that they used
Yeah.
probably wasn't the greatest in terms of like the articulation on the wrist and the ankles.
Yeah.
But I would just kind of give them a pass because that was their first entry into the 112 line. And I think so they just released the Ghost of Kurosawa figures, which it's like a Japanese Vader type thing.
Yeah.
It looks great. I haven't got that in yet. And then this is their third, I believe their third release into 112. And it looks like, I don't know, it looks a little bit better than their first release.
And so that was going to be some of my concerns where I'm like, they gives me the 3A feeling, and I've handled some 3A figures. The wrist and the ankles always kind of worry me, especially when I'm not used to it. But it's funny that we're showing the Devil's Toy site in their last picture. It's work in progress.
Whoa, you can't
look at that.
You can't even plan that. Wow. You can't plan that better.
Man, they must have got notes about us. Hey, it's right there.
Nice. Yeah, man. And they are a work in progress. You know, I think I haven't got my Ghost of Kurosawa figure in yet, but I've heard it's better than their first release. I would imagine that these guys right here, this set would be better. But yeah, their 1/6 figures are top notch. It is a premier premium.
And that bike, man, it says the bike's only available through the deluxe. Only one set per person. It looks like here like it's still available. I can add it. Maybe you guys can join me, and then we'll start points. Hey, that's my only concern. It's just the articulation.
No, the articulation is good. They move a lot better than the old 3A stuff, the 3A 12 stuff. Yeah, I would say it's very similar to like a Damn Toys buck. You know?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah, I'm familiar with Damn Toys.
Dude, it moves better than any like domestic figure out there. For sure.
It's a little scary.
Yeah, it is pricey, but you know, thankfully PayPal has your back with 4 interest-free payments of $75. So many people were like, thank God for that.
Man. So yeah, so the figures themselves are 110, and then the bike is almost another $100. So yeah, you know, if you get the set, it's $100 each.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, you might as well go and get the bike, you know. That bike is I know the first release, a lot of people are now trying to find that bike, and the aftermarket prices are just astronomical. And they do make limited quantities. I don't know how many. I think for Ghost of Kurosawa 2-pack, it was only limited to 2,000 pieces out there. So yeah, that's the one that I'm waiting for. I know Dario got his set and he likes it.
And I mean, the fact that they have shell toe Adidas, that's freaking killer. I love the pants. I could imagine the second market for these are like through the roof.
Insane.
Right?
Insane, man.
Yeah, these
and
look
they come
really
with
badass.
2 different pairs of shoes. They come with low tops and high tops.
No way. That's awesome. These pants look like pants that Kevin would wear. I'm pretty sure this is what he was wearing when he was taking you on the court. No, actually his shorts were short. No, your shorts were
My shorts were short shorts.
Like, man.
He pulled his shorts down.
Yeah, he did.
Like ankles to his ankle. I'm like, are you wearing capris?
You were you brought out some shorts from like 1970. I was like, whoa, those are some really.
Actually, they were his shorts from like 1995.
They were his shorts that he just wears, and you were like, we're about the same size. You were borrowing Kevin's shorts. You were using Bearded Build's shoes. Like you just borrowed the whole fit.
Yeah, man, I was not prepared.
Oh man, yeah, these guys look freaking awesome, and man, this totally, was not on my radar. I seen the pictures, but I was like, I don't. I think 3A, and I'm like, I'm kind of scared of 3A stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it is a risk, you know. You're jumping into a new
Oh,
line.
there is the high tops. That's cool.
Yeah, but like the accessories, the quality of the figure, just the overall design for me,
Yeah.
it's a no-brainer. I'm happy to drop $110 on these figures. There's just nothing else out there like them at all, man.
Yeah, and sometimes that's a plus, that's a win. Sometimes I don't know, like, you know, it's like when we went to Designer Con and you see some of these vinyl figures that they look so dope, they take them out and they're like fragile, like the freaking sword breaks, or you know, something ends up happening and you're like, it's one of a kind. Now I gotta go get another sword.
Yeah, no, but I mean, at least for me, like, you know, I've been shifting my focus, and my collection has been slowly, instead of being all over the place, going to more like this cyberpunk type feel.
And just sticking with that
theme. Definitely has a place. Yeah,
very cool. All right, moving gears here, we're gonna jump onto Super 7. Did they got some new pre-orders or what? What was it? What caught your eye? Was it, I don't know, Nightmare Before Christmas? Because
I saw that. Yeah, that came up, popped up the other day. I mean, they look great, but I don't really have like a strong connection to the Nightmare Before Christmas. It looks great, but I did recently. I just got my first Ultimates figure. I got Donnie and Leo. Shout out to Kyle. Dude, they're great. I can't believe I slept on those figures for so long.
I mean, I have them. I haven't opened them yet just because they look so pretty in there.
Oh, yeah. Well, the presentation.
Yeah, I opened up my guys. I just haven't opened up.
Do you have all 4 turtles?
Yep, I do.
Nice. I still need to get Raph and Mikey, so.
All right, well, it looks
what
like
did
the Super 7
what popped up for you that you were interested in?
I like the Nightmare Before Christmas because my wife is a huge Halloween fan. So
I mean,
just
perfect timing.
Seeing
right?
Ultimates, like, yeah. All right, well, we're having some issues with the Super 7 site. Move on.
Are you on the McDonald's Wi-Fi?
I'm on the McDonald's Wi-Fi right now.
Oh no.
Let's talk Joy Toy.
Oh man. I can't.
So you guys picked up some Warhammer figures?
Yeah, man. So we went to Heroes World out in I forgot the name of the town, but it was in Canada, closer to Toronto. And they had, not only did they have like a whole wall of Joy Toy stuff and specifically Joy Toy Warhammer stuff, but they had them on in DTOFs. I managed not to break any of those DTOFs. They opened it up. They let me get handle one of the figures out there, and I'm like, one, I didn't realize that they were actually like way bigger than your standard 118 figure.
Yeah.
And the articulation is nuts. The paint apps are nuts. And at that point I was like, oh no, I'm in trouble. So we had 2 big boxes on the counter. And I, you know me, it takes me a while to make a decision or even complete a sentence. So I'm standing in line, and Mike, I don't know if he was like frustrated or impatient, but he's like, you know what? I'll take this one. Ring me up.
Damn.
And I'm like, oh, then I'll grab the second one. So he enabled me to pick up a 4-pack, the Space Wolves. And you know what, man? I'm glad he did, because this line is freaking phenomenal, dude. And I got like 17 figures in my cart right now. I think I have 4 more on the way from USA Gundam. I think I'm all in on this stuff, man.
It's so crazy good. It's hard to resist.
You don't have any, do you?
No, I don't. But Adam, playing with myself, every time he posts up his, Warhammer stuff, and he's like, "Come on, dude, do it, like jump in." Like, it's the water's nice and warm, and usually it ends up being a whole nother reason why the water's so warm.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, if you know Adam, you know. But he's like, "Dude, how can you not pick these up?" And he's probably like the biggest enabler for me to try to. I'm like, no, there's no way. I'm not going to give into it. I'm just going to live vicariously through these pictures, because I can't just have a few. Like, I'm going to want a whole freaking army, all the colors. Like, And how could you not? Like the sculpt's amazing. And yeah, he told me he's like they're a little bit bigger than their traditional 1/18th. I'm like, that's even more awesomer.
I know.
Because it's I don't know, it's just I've always liked Warhammer a bit because they're usually played on a tabletop. They're so tiny, right? And I don't have the patience nor the skill to paint stuff that tiny. So the fact that Joy Toy is doing it and they're adding articulation, I'm then like, yes, I can pick up some Tiny Mac figures, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, man, I'm with you. I've always admired Warhammer stuff from afar, and the fact that it was, you know, just miniatures and tabletop gaming has kept me away from that because the design is killer.
Yeah,
and the second they announced, Joy Toy announced that they were doing a line 1, I thought it was just going to be a one-off because I'm like, there's no way Warhammer gave up that license. But since that first release, they've just been hitting you consistently heavy with like future releases. They got different, you know, factions and they got
now they're adding vehicles.
I have that vehicle on pre-order now. It looks so damn good, and they're going to photograph so well. So I can't wait to get them in hand. Dude, I already want to make a Warhammer diorama.
There you go.
And already they're releasing their 2.0 bucks. So what was already great is going to be even better. They're a little bit taller and they have more articulation. They got freaking butterfly joints now.
Make wave, guys. Here I come. I'm in now. Sold. Let's go. 2.0. I'm in.
Dude. Well, here's the rule that I set for myself. It's like, all right, I'm going to stick with one team. And I already broke that rule.
No, no, you got to have at least 2 colors. You got to have the good guys and the bad guys.
Yeah. Well, now and then they got the orcs coming out.
Oh, that's right. I was about to say, I'm like, if they do, that's why I had seen the pictures. Like they start doing orcs and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, right there. Look at that.
It's done.
Dude,
it's done.
Look at that. And
orcs and space marines, like, come on.
Yeah, man. And the fact that it's 118, because like space has always been an issue. Now I can cram more figures into this limited space that I have. So
I'm like, sir, what's in this bag? You're like, those are all my Warhammers. Don't touch them. I'm checking that bag in.
Dude, how cool does that look, man?
Yeah. And that's having amazing. A bunch of these, having 10 of these little orc guys on these T-Rex looking creatures.
Goblin, whatever the hell that is.
What's a goon to a goblin? You know? 1/18 scale. It's gonna be awesome because again, it's like that 6-year-old, 7-year-old in you. It's like you want to have a huge army like we would see on Saturday cartoons.
Yeah.
You can't just get one.
World building, you know?
Yeah. That's awesome. Man.
I haven't gotten any mechs yet. Oh, dude. I think I want to get a mech. Oh, I got those wolves on pre-order.
I saw these wolves and I was like, wow. Like, it's crazy. And it looks like they have articulation too.
Oh yeah, it's a badass vehicle, man. Look at that. I like how your comment. You're tagging us.
Yeah. Is this a vehicle?
I would consider it a vehicle.
Because you're riding it, right?
Yeah, it's a mode of transportation.
Anything you can jump on the back of is a vehicle.
If it gets you from point A to point B and you're riding it, it's a vehicle. I know there are some people in the community that would argue that, Yoko, but I think it's a vehicle. Let's go.
So whether it's a horse or a cat, you can jump on its back and it'll take you somewhere. Get on your vehicle and let's go. Man,
it looks great, though, man. It looks good.
Yeah.
Did you pre-order that? These what are they, like? Not samurai. Yeah,
man. That's a whole nother genre that I'm like, I can't afford to get into. And look, it's all about
that articulation,
man.
It looks.
I think that's the problem. Like, okay, which route do I go? Do I do Warhammer? Do I do, because they've done some of their cyberpunk stuff?
Yeah,
you know, or not even cyber, but like it gives me a Mad Max type of vibe.
It's like
post-apocalyptic. Yeah, I like that. But then now they're doing this like Ronin stuff, and I'm like, oh, I like that too.
It's
so like, what do I pick? So I can't. I it's like a buffet. I want to have it all. Can't, because it's gonna give you. It's gonna give you the runs.
It's gonna give you dump 30. That's what it's gonna give you. It's so good, man. It's I'm glad to see that we have all these options. And you know what? I don't know how you're gonna take this, but I feel like Joy Toy might be getting me a little more excited than Acid Rain as of
Oh,
yeah, dude.
yes, that's awesome.
Sorry, Kitlau.
And you know, it's so funny that you said it because lately I've been feeling, yes, Joy Toy's been killing it, but then Acid Rain has really been getting my attention with some of their more recent stuff that they've been dropping a lot of bikes, and I don't know, something about like all these vehicles have been getting my attention.
Yeah, man.
I used to work with the guy, and he was much older, but every time he would say vehicle, he'd be like vehicle. He'd like really pronounce the H in it, so he'd be like, "Hey, let's talk about those vehicle loans." Yeah, that looks cool. That's a good vehicle.
Yeah,
it's like cool whip.
I like how we're flipping sides now.
Yeah, I'm like, it's all about Acid Rain. You're like Joy Toy. You have a shirt that says Joy Toy.
Yeah. We're never on the same page, Prime.
Yeah. Well, that's because you broke my detox. It's that time, plastic confession time.
Oh man.
So, age before beauty. You go first. I think that was meant as a compliment, and that didn't come out right.
No, that was a backhanded compliment or a dig, if anything. All right, man. I'm gonna pull an Adam here because since I got back from Toronto, I don't know what it's been lately. Maybe it's because like the stress of work and I needed some sort of outlet. I've been spending money on toys, so this might take a while. But the first one is this bad boy.
Oh,
this is the Hammond Collection T-Rex. Come on, dude.
Yeah, I've seen it a lot lately, and I shared this a couple episodes, and maybe even in a live a couple weeks ago when it was really hitting the stores. I tried to convince my son to get it. He's a huge, and he's like, I got like 3 T-Rex stuff. I don't need another one. I'm like, no, but this one's like this one. Look at its eyes, and I was like, and he's like, yeah, it looks cool. He's all, I already have my like. He has the colossal one, right?
The big one, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that's
he's
so
like,
funny that he said no.
He's like, no, I'm good. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, dude,
sure?
that's insane.
What if I buy it for you and we think about it? And my wife's like, put it back.
No, I did the same thing. So I saw it. Right, I was at Target. I think I was going for like cereal or something, and I saw it, and I'm like, oh my god, do I need this? So I sent a picture to my son, and I'm like, hey, do we need this? And he's like, yes, we do. And I'm like, boom, I grabbed it. See? And funny enough, so he unboxed it, and then he said,
take it from him.
Yeah, I'm like, give me back, that's mine.
Yeah,
no, but he unboxed it. He's like, oh, this is amazing. He comes out and he's like, hey, where's the spray bottle that you use for your dials? I'm like, it's right over there. He takes it, comes back out 5 minutes later. He took a photo, like toy photography photo. I posted it up on IG, and I'm like, dude, that is really impressive.
And you took credit for him. You didn't even credit him. You know what? I'm gonna have to kick you off the show now. Like, look at this guy.
You're right. But yeah, dude, this is it might be in the top 10.
That looks killer, dude. That looks killer.
Look at the
shape.
pose.
Yeah, the pose. I like the paint articulation. Man, dude, I'm gonna go have beef with my kid now. Be like, we could have that T-Rex, son.
He chose poorly. And then since I was at Target, and I don't know why but I got the TVC Reva, which a great figure. Articulation is crazy. I found Cosca Reeves in there too. Pretty good figure. And I got these two. TVC Fennec Shin and Boba Fett. This Boba is probably their best figure that they've made, right? So
nice.
Yeah, and it was just kind of like a impulse buy. I'm like, I need it. But here are the main hauls. So I spent a lot of money at Target this week. I found this bad boy. The NECA TMNT cartoon Toko and Reza. It is so good. I don't know if I'm going to save it for enablers or just crack it open, but
yeah, I'll give you $10 for it right now.
No,
cash.
No,
$10 cash.
If anything, I'll sell it in like a year. But yeah, no,
I think you sell it when you open it.
You're so wrong for that. But yeah, no, for whatever reason, the NECA TMNT stuff has really just grabbed a hold of me, and man,
I haven't seen those, but they've been stocked pretty well at my Targets. All the TMNT tune stuff. It's been
They had these in a different section. I almost missed them. I was just walking by. I'm like, "Whoa, what is that?"
Yeah.
Immediately grabbed it. So, and then I went back the next day. Everything else was gone. So,
oh wow.
I got this snail shell, and it's not a waifu. It's I don't even know what this guy is called, but he's like a Wolfman police guy, and just the design looked really interesting. He has two different looks. He comes with a helmet, and I really do like this company. Snail Shell produces some high quality premium stuff, so I'm excited to open that.
Yeah, I remember when Nate was talking about them, and you put him in check.
Oh yeah, I mean, come on, Nate. You know, you gotta get your facts right. And then some SHF Star Wars Visions figures.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. And then last but not least, and I've waited a while for this, Mafex Jean Grey. Yes. Did you get this?
Yeah, no, it's on its way. I have to.
Oh, okay.
That and the Superman is on its way from Ami Ami.
Oh, thick Superman?
Yeah, thick boy.
Oh, thick boy. Yeah, man. So it's been quite the haul this week, and
so you got to open them up. You got a lot to crack open.
I know. I don't know what I'm going to save for enablers. Probably nothing, because I really want to open everything right now.
It's going to be a sale, guys. You know what that means. Sale time. Get your wallets ready. That's awesome. Good, great, amazing plastic concussion. You get mine's much lighter. Much lighter. Not as much. But I did finally, because I thought somebody was going to sell me theirs, but I ended up picking up my very own retro Rhino. You freaking jerk.
He's right there. He's right behind
the dial. I was over here. I was PayPal ready, guys. PayPal ready.
Oh, man.
Got it in. I just,
you know what?
I don't want to open it. Like, I want to just stick it on the wall because I love the fucking packaging.
It looks so good, and that's.
I wish I could just open it, take them out, and then put it back in, and then like, come on, guys.
Yeah, man.
Hasbro, come on, just some Velcro, and then.
Are you not going to open it?
No, I am going to open it because I'm going to sell my bath, and just keep this one.
And then just get another one. Yeah, dude, the one that I got, because you were like, yeah, you can ship it to me loose, and I was like, this card is so nice and crispy. Yeah.
I love the packaging.
I'm glad you got one, because now I can keep mine.
Freaking jerk. So yeah, I got that, and then I ended up snagging a couple of Mezcos that were missing from my collection. I got the PX cable. Nice. Killer price. Like, I gotta tell you how much I got this off air, because it's steal. Yeah,
very nice.
And then one that I slept on, I shouldn't have, and then I regretted, and I didn't pay crazy price. Again, I got a killer deal on this. I got the Nightmare Batman from BVS, the Batman vs Superman.
Nice.
And having those, there were like missing slots in my collection for quite some time, and I wasn't going to pay aftermarket prices. It's just, after a while, I'm like, I'll just give up, and I'll wait for a good deal. Luckily, I mean, the deal came around, and killed the deal on that. So shout out to my buddy for hooking me up. I appreciate it. And he knew I was missing that Nightmare Batman. So, it's like, it's so funny, because he's like, hey, I know you're missing this. I think I'm going to sell it. Do you want it? I'm like, come on.
Hell yeah.
You know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. And then he sends me all these other pictures of Mezcos that he was selling. And he's all, here are your prices. And I'm like, you son of a... I hate that.
Dude, he's milking you, man. It must be... that must be a good feeling, to finally plug those holes, Prime.
Oh, there's nothing more satisfying, if I can say so myself. But yeah, freaking jerk. So normally, guys, we do Nasty Nate's dirty trick at this point, but Nasty Nate ain't here. He's over there in Iceland, where celebrating the birthday, doing a little vacation. I think he's lost. I don't know. We might have to send a search and rescue party. But yeah, Nasty Nate is out in Iceland, but we do have the Contour King, Mr. Cha-Cha himself. Hopefully you brought something for our audience.
I brought some lessons.
There you go.
Some good lessons.
Let's do it.
And I know Nate primarily focuses on dirty tips and tricks for photography, but I wanted to share some.
Yeah.
Paparazzi? No, but I wanted to share some tips that I've learned for dial building. So if there's any dial makers out there, or if you dabble, here's some things that I've learned and I want to share with you. So it's all about texturing, right? Creating, depth and character within your dio. Sometimes you don't even need like, crazy greeble on a wall. You can have a blank wall, but if you texture it properly,
Yeah.
and especially if you're using it for like photography, it can pop, right? So there are various methods for texturing. Probably the most common one is, either grab some tin foil, roll it up into a ball, and then just, press it firmly against, the foam board, or take a
Yeah.
rock and just indent it. And yeah, those are good too. But I would encourage, everybody to try different materials. I've been using for like concrete texturing, like a stiff bristle brush or like a wire brush. You can
Mhm.
just stipple it and it'll create a concrete texture. Um, there are, obviously textured paints that you could use. Um, you could even get creative and use spackle on, and that's what I did on this one. I was trying to just cover up the seams and like do seam line removal, but
Yeah.
then I started stippling the spackle with an artist sponge, and it created this like concrete texture, right? And if you don't have access to those materials, you can get away with like not even adding anything and just give the illusion of texture. One recent technique that I found out is I will take, some sandpaper or like a sanding sponge and sand certain areas of the wall. And once you lay
Mhm.
paint on there, because of like the variation in like the textures of the wall, the paint will apply smooth in some areas and rough on other areas, and then gives the illusion that there's texture. And if you don't have access to sanding sponges or sandpaper, then you can even apply texture with paint, right? So you apply
Yeah.
your paint, and if you take a brush instead of like applying it, traditionally, if you stipple on certain paints, it'll give the illusion of like different types of texture, like whether it's
Yeah.
rust or
Oh, yeah,
grime,
yeah.
something like that. So yeah, those are my tips and tricks. Find different, methods and techniques to add texture to your dioramas. You don't necessarily need all kinds of like greeble and material. Those various methods that I explained will definitely go a long way with your display.
That's awesome. Awesome, awesome. So yeah, guys, if you guys try that and if it doesn't work, you guys know who to go after. But if it
Yeah,
does work,
I'll
let
break
us
your
know in the
details.
let us know your thoughts down below. Which brings us to our last portion, the figure aficionado this week's. And sorry, but you probably won't be getting a toaster because Nate is not in. I think we forgot to pay our toaster bill, and
Oh,
toasters are like the warehouse toaster. It's abandoned. It's like Nate's not there. Things are falling apart here. But this week, let me go ahead and share my screen. And for the audio portion, I will let you guys know who is this week's figure aficionado. It is Corona 4, not Corona 19, but Corona 4. CORONAFOUR.
hell yeah.
Killer work. And man, I just freaking love his pictures. Like the scene, he's got this Conan one here,
Mm-hmm.
and then using different figures. Like, where is she from? 300, right? I think
I
that.
think so. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Queen Gorgo from NECA Official. And
Yeah.
then I love it. Like he's giving credit to all the Dio makers, who did the flames, who did the skulls. Like you can see, there's different artists, Conan accessories. Again, giving credit to like all the different artists out there that he brings it together, and everything from the lighting, man, and the posing, that's freaking awesome. It's creating
Yeah.
that scene.
Yeah, and you can tell like with any picture that he posts, and I don't know, it feels like lately he's like hit that flow stage, just been throwing out heat, man.
Yeah,
You look at any of his photos and you can tell, okay, this guy put in a lot of work. I really
yeah,
liked this one. Look at that bokeh in the back with those
yeah,
lights. It's a beautiful shot, man. Um, it yeah, that's the first thing that jumps out to me anytime I see one of his photos. It's just you put in a lot of work in building up the set, dialing in the lighting, and just freaking nailing it, man. He's been crushing it.
I freaking love this pick with Han and Leia just kind of dancing. And this one here, again, using different props from different individuals. The bench from Nacho Toys, the phone from Grime City, soft goods from 5K Toys. But it's epic. Right here, it almost feels like this was a scene from the movie. And it really wasn't, you know? It's awesome.
Yeah. Dude, and Nate's just an overall good guy, you know?
Yeah.
The nicest dude out there, so.
Yeah, shout out to Nate, which we're not even talking about Nasty Nate. We're talking about this other Nate. This week's Figure Aficionado.
Yeah, go show some love.
Show him some love and let him know he's made it this week. So that's it. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the show, the content. Make sure you guys drop your comments, give us that like. Any last words? Where can they keep up with you? Where?
Yeah, you can follow me. Keep up with me, 796 Studios on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and 796 on Vero.
Oh, that's right. I still haven't jumped on that. I need
to get on there. I claimed the tag 796. I dropped Studios. I am just now 796 on Vero. So find me there, you know, follow, shoot me a message.
Yeah.
And if anybody has any, you know, questions or wants some advice with like, you know, the Dio stuff or even photography, hit me up, man. I'm down to chat.
Awesome. So you guys make sure you guys take time, subscribe to the Figure Booth. Check out our site if you guys want some. We got this shirt, the like Fight Club. Look at this, Figure Booth Club. Inspired. Nice. Yeah, we got a bunch of tees, bunch of merch up on there. You guys can keep up with me all under Prime to the First on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok. So as always, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for crashing the stream, my friend.
Literally crashing.
Yeah, no detops now. I think you've broken them all. It's been a blast.
We'll get some Billy bookcases now.
I'm gonna make them out of foam. But until next time, guys, we'll catch you guys next time.
See ya.
Peace.